Hey everyone, welcome back to Diablo 3. This is my Guide to Adventure Mode for New Players series of videos. In the previous episode, I introduced you to the general idea of Adventure Mode, what it entails. I explained Paragon levels, and I showed off the process of encountering bounties and turning them in for the reward they're provided. So, again, quick recap. Every act has its own set of bounties, and doing all of them for an entire world gives you a bigger bonus, so it's worth trying to knock them all out. So, other than that, what else can you do in adventure mode? Well, as I mentioned in the last video, but didn't go into detail of, you can farm key wardens. And key wardens are a thing that's not really explained very well in the game at all. So, it's a good point for me to bring up. There are, I think there's one key warden for every act. I have to check to verify. It's been a while since I've really directly farmed key wardens. But key wardens have a chance to drop machines, infernal machines. And the infernal machines are used to access what is called Über bosses. Now, in Diablo 2, if you played that game, Über bosses meant a lot more. They were almost a seasonal event, and players worked together to spawn them. There was however many players did this at a certain amount of time on that, and everything for server. It was really cool. It was a big deal, you know. Even if you weren't in the game, if you were online, you got to it's like the Über Diablo is there. Go. In this, they're not as big of a deal. They're essentially... Okay, so Infernal Machine of Regret. We got two of them. They don't drop all the time.
I need to go back.
But it's not hard to farm them. But yeah, so Über bosses are really just slightly more difficult versions of the normal bosses you face. And the whole reason you would even farm them is to get parts to create Hellfire items. Like, there we go. Hellfire rings. They take those random parts over there. There's a generic Hellfire ring, which was from an earlier version of the game. I think you just bought the design, but the other ones, these are the more powerful ones. These ones I think you just have. But to get those parts, the eye and the spine and stuff like that, you need to farm Über bosses. Hellfire rings aren't like the best thing in the world. They're just pretty good, and since it's not too difficult to get them, they're a good starter thing. They are best in slot for certain builds though, and you can get some really amazing rolls by making them over and over again. So what do you do then? Okay, so say you found a key warden on your own. You're like, oh, what is this? What is use inside a tainted abode hidden with new Tristram, only on torment difficulties, and there you go. That's it. That is the only explanation you get without digging around online. Well, if you run around New Tristram and check out all the places you can go, you'll come to a conclusion. So, like, there's a boarded up house there. Basically, there's a couple of boarded up houses. But you really get no indication at all of anything. So, what's this tainted abode? How are you supposed to know? Well, you're not. I don't know how the game ever expects you to find it, but this house here that Malachi stands in front of, you can just attack the door. There's no prompt, no indicator, no nothing. But you attack the door, and then you find this really tainted abode. So while you're in here, you'd go ahead and use one of your machines, and you open up a portal. And bam, you are now in a Über boss encounter.
Not enough essence.
Oh, crap. So, You just saw one of the weaknesses of my build. If I'm not careful with my essence, which is my necromancer resource, I can't do anything. I don't utilize a resource generator on this build. And then, well, it's bottoms out pretty hard. So, thankfully, it's not a one-chance thing. The encounter restarts, but you can just keep trying till you leave the lobby. Okay, so certain Uber boss encounters will just be one boss, and certain encounters will be a pair of bosses to make it more difficult. Get some loot, but the main reason, like I said, that you do this is to get, where's it at? There you go. Is to get stuff like this: Leoric's Regret, Idle Terror, Heart of Fright. These things are all used to create what you need. Thankfully, they tell you where you get them from, so if you forget, you can go back into it. That's an Uber boss. Like I said, not much different. It's a little disappointing coming from Diablo 2 to be like, oh, there's Uber bosses in this game. That's great, and they're just unnecessarily hidden means to farm a relatively normal item. But anyway, so that's key wardens, and like I said, there's one in every, there's one in every act except for 5, and I think that's simply because 5 came with the expansion and they didn't want to retcon the farming. So that's another option. You have bounties, you have key wardens. You can just run around and do normal stuff too.
I understand.
But most players are going to come here for Auric and his Nephalem Obelisk. Auric allows you to create Nephalem Rifts. Until you're level 70, you can access adventure mode at any level as long as you finish story mode. But you can't access greater rifts until you hit level 70. You only have normal rifts. And the difference is, a normal rift... Well, let me explain what rifts are first. They are basically a randomly generated dungeon in which you are trying to kill as many enemies as you can to fill a meter, in which a boss will be summoned after completion. And that boss can drop some good gear. And it's real quick. It's less than 15 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes if you're really good. It's a nice fast way to get some better stuff. And it's the main way of testing your character. It's the main end game. Man, I apologize. I'm having a lot of like clearing my throat and semi-burp problems. I try to adjust for this before I record and stuff, and my body, I don't know if it's some underlying stress that triggers it or whatever. I apologize. But anyway, this is the meat of the game. Bounties is really just for killing time and getting materials to create stuff so that you can do rifts and get further and better. Now, the difference between a Nephalem Rift and a Greater Rift is you need a key to unlock Greater Rifts, one-time use key, and Greater Rifts have a time limit. On Nephalem Rifts, you can take as long as you want. It doesn't matter. But in a Greater Rift, you have 15 minutes. If you can't complete the Rift in 15 minutes, you won't get the Greater Rift bonus. I mean, you can still finish it. You just won't get the point of the Greater Rift. It'll essentially be like you completed a normal Rift. When you beat a Greater Rift within the 15-minute time window, you have a chance for what is called a Legendary Gem to drop. And Legendary Gems are a unique subcategory of gems that have very special properties. I think I might have all of them, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so Legendary Gems, here, I'll look at it. Legendary Gems start at rank 0. And they can only be equipped in jewelry, but they're easily some of the most powerful gems in a game. Like this one. Having the gem equipped has a 25% chance on killing an enemy to cause an explosion of gold. And then if you get it to rank 25, you get a movement speed increase for picking up gold. So not super crazy, but like here's a good example. 10% non-physical damage reduction, and then below health you get a bunch of resistances. So like your resistances are crazy with this gem, and it's great for builds that rely on that. Now, how do you rank up a gem? Well, that's the other half of Greater Rifts. I think you can get a legendary gem regardless of how long it takes you to beat a Greater Rift. It's been a very long time since I've failed to complete a Greater Rift in time, so I'll have to check, but I think you get the gem no matter what. But if you beat the Rift without within the 15-minute time limit, you'll encounter a new Nephalem spirit that can upgrade your legendary gems. Completing the Rift gives you 3 chances. Completing the Rift without dying at all gives you 4 chances. And if you do something called Empowering, which is just paying gold for another chance to upgrade your gem, you get 5 chances. And that is a substantial amount. 5 runs you can get a gem to rank 25, and I believe they cap out at 50. I don't have any that are at 50 because I'm not at a point where I can easily level them up. Because the way leveling them up works is as you progress through the Greater Rifts, you start at the base difficulty of Torment 1, and then each rift you complete is a level. So once you complete the first rift, you might have Torment unlocked if you start on Torment. But regardless, once you beat a rift, you get next one, next one, next one. Each rift you beat gives you another level, increases the difficulty a bit. For every level in difficulty that you run above a gem's rank, gives you 10% chance of success. So a rank 0 rift has a 100% success chance of being upgraded if you clear a level 10 rift. So that would make it rank 1. Since a level 10 rift is then 9 levels above a rank 1 gem, it'll be a 90% chance. And then a rank 2 gem would be an 80% chance, and so on and so forth. So the way you balance that out is as you level up your gems, you keep going up in higher difficulties of Torment. But the nice thing is, once you're up here and you get a rank 0 gem, it still has that guaranteed percent chance. Because for every level above a rank gem, it essentially has another 10% chance to succeed, even though you don't see it over the 100% chance. So a rank 0 gem technically has a 430% success chance to be upgraded at level 53 rift-wise. So I can just keep running a level 53 rift over and over and over again for a while before I'll see that 100% upgrade chance on my legendary gems start dropping. So it's not like you have to play the lower levels and go up that way. You can just stay on the higher levels and work through that. As you can see, I have legendary gems in all of my gear. Bane of the Stricken, Bane of the Trapped, and Enforcer. And Enforcer is a great example of something that's powerful. It increases the damage of my pets by 26.4, and it reduces the damage my pets take by 90%. That's very effective. The third ability there is just the Ring's ability. But my build relies on my pets, my minions, so super fitting to me. And you'll basically find 3 legendary gems that fit your build, and you work around it that way and just focus on upgrading them. One of the standout things about a legendary gem, though, is specifically the Gem of Ease. This gem boosts experience gained by kills, but if you get it to rank 25 and then put it into an item, that item has a level 1 requirement, which means you can take something like my Jessith Skull Scythe, which does over 2,000 damage and has all these bonuses, and put it on a level 1 character. It is ridiculous. And not only is it just really good for making a low-level character powerful, it also increases the experience you get. So you level up really fast. So the Gem of Ease is a great way to get lower-level characters up to 70 once you've seen the story inside and out, so that you can just start having a different experience with the adventure mode in the Rifts. It's pretty cool. And something else that I don't think I made clear is every time you rank up a gem, its first ability grows. So like this is a 25% chance to get the gold thing. Every level will raise it by 0.5 or 0.1 or 1% or whatever. So by the time it's ranked 25, it could be a 50% chance on killing an enemy that causes an explosion gold. So the Gem of Ease's experience goes up a lot. It's like a few thousand. And that's ridiculous, you know, for a fresh character. With legendary gems out of the way, we'll cover the Kanai's Cube real quick. This is something that is completely exclusive to Adventure Mode. You cannot access it outside of Adventure Mode, but you can use its abilities outside of Adventure Mode. Excuse me. This is kind of the spiritual successor to the Heraldric Cube from Diablo 2. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. It's not important. But essentially, you have all of these abilities that the cube can do. You can extract the legendary power, which means if you take something with a orange ability, you can pull it out. You can destroy the item using the materials on the right. You destroy the item, and you get to use its power without the item. So, like, I'm not equipped with these, but I have Relena's Shadowhook, Requiem Seraplate, and Crisbin's Sentence. I get their special ability and still get to use different gear. So it's really nice if you're like, man, this one weapon has an amazing ability for me, but it's just garbage otherwise. Well, you can extract its power, equip it on your character, and get a better weapon while not losing out on its buff. So that's super useful. And it works for set items and unique items. It's whatever has... Does it work on set items? Yeah, there you go. Whatever has an orange ability on it, naturally. Reforge Legendary lets you essentially re-roll the stats on an item. It's good if you're like, I found exactly what I was looking for, but its stats are garbage. Re-roll it. Upgrade Rare Item lets you take a yellow item and potentially end up with a set or a unique item. It's a great way to get gear that you just can't get to drop from an enemy. Convert set item. Say you have 5 pieces of a 6 item set. You're like, I can't get the 6th item to drop, but you keep finding copies of the other set items. You throw it in the cube with these items, and it rolls it for another chance of being a different set item. It doesn't guarantee you'll get what you need, but it's an easier way to try to get a full set. This essentially makes you spend the Gem of Ease to permanently make an item not have a level requirement. And really, the only advantage to doing this is if you want the socket that the weapon or item has to be used for something else. I don't think it's really worth it. You can just pop the Gem of Ease into something and pop it out when you need to, but it's there. This lets you change gems to different types of gems, crafting parts to different crafting parts of the specific types, you know, reusable, arcane, and veiled. And this one's interesting. My friend and I really didn't fully understand what this did. We thought it might have made an ancient item better. Like, I think there's another version called a primal item. But no, what it does is you pick one of those 4 gems, and each one of those gems does something in a weapon or jewelry or whatever slot. And it gives that item the stat in a big amount. So like, the emeralds are dexterity. So say I have an ancient weapon. I'll explain ancient items in a minute. But say I have an ancient weapon and I want to just have a lot more dexterity. Well, I can do this with a emerald, and then I will still have the ancient weapon exactly how it was, but it'll have a much bigger dexterity boost. So it's just a way to kind of pump up an item that's already really, really good. It's still a little circumstantial, though. But yeah, so you can manage your things over here. So basically, you go into adventure mode, you get these abilities, which they're universal. Like, all of my characters have access to the things I've extracted. And then you make a new character, you go into adventure mode with them, you put this stuff into their power slots, and then you go back to story mode or whatever you want to do, and they have these really powerful things. So you can't alter or manipulate them outside of adventure mode, but once they're active on your character, they're active. They don't go away. So ancient. Well, before I get into that, yeah, I can explain ancient items real quick. If you look at my equipped item on the right side of the screen, see how my Inarius's boots has like a more elaborate gold frame around the text box than my pants do? That is indicative of it being a ancient item, ancient set boots. Now, all ancient does is items have a set stat range that they can potentially have when they drop, when you roll them. But it has a limit. It can only go to a certain height. Well, if you find an ancient version of an item, its stat range goes higher. So instead of being 300 to 500 as an example, it's 400 to 600. And there's another version above that I believe is called Primal, and it's whatever, you know what I mean? So you take the item, and even if you have the absolute best of it, you can get a better version of it by finding an ancient version. It just has a much lower chance to drop. And Primal has an even lower chance to drop. I've never seen one. That's why I'm not even positive of the name. So that's ancient items. So basically, the whole augment ancient item idea is, hey, I have the best I can get out of this item, and I can't make it any better, but I want it to be better. Throw some stats on it. There you go. So that's all for today. I don't want these videos to be too long since they're just essentially tutorials. But I hope you're getting some use out of this. I hope you guys appreciate my bit of experience. I'm not some kind of crazy master of the game, but I've played it a lot, and I feel really confident in my understanding enough to express it to people that are interested in getting to where I am and where most Diablo 3 fans are. So, like the video if you feel like you learned anything. Leave a comment, give me your feedback. Tell me what your experience has been and how much things have gotten better for you now that you've dove into adventure mode. Subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my videos. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. That's the best way to get in touch with me and the best way to keep attuned to things that are going on in my life so that my upload schedule doesn't surprise you. And for now, I'm gonna call it for today. I'm gonna continue doing my best to bring you one of the most honest opinions you can find online, and I hope to talk to you guys later on. See ya.